Hello everyone, Mythic here, and welcome back to another Lucium update video. We are closer than ever to the release of Lucium 3.0. We expect to be in the playtesting phase very soon, as we've mentioned on our ModDB page and in our Discord server, link in the description to join. Now, there are a few things we need to get through this episode, so let's go ahead and jump into them. Starting off first, we have fixed our menu images. They no longer look as ugly as they looked before. As you can see, we have made them all nice. They're a lot less blurry now. And we've also fixed the radar map, which I'll show in a little bit. But all factions have these. Next thing we'll be moving into is the campaign map. Hello everyone, welcome back to the campaign map. And you may notice that I'm not on France, even though I selected them in the last part. Well, that's because you can see here in the bottom left what our new radar does. So our new radar is just a lot nicer than the older one. It has a lot more color, it allows the colors to pop, it's not black. And when you toggle fog of war, it just looks a lot nicer and a lot less blurry than the last one did. So, we think this is a massive step up. Now, there is one reason I clicked on France, and you might have been hearing this for a while if you're in the Discord server. The French Revolution has received a major overhaul since the last time we talked about it. The French Revolution, of course, spawns historically accurate. It doesn't spawn historically accurate, because we feel it would be too late in the game for people to really get the enjoyment out of it, so it spawns around turn 60. Now, one thing that we've done is, well, I say we, I mean our main scripter, Rennet. This script has been made by him. All credit goes to him because he's done such an amazing job on it. We've also had some contributions, though, from our lead dev on his personal script involving the French Revolution. But the French Revolution has been heavily modified. There will be events leading up to the revolution that will impact how it occurs, and also the revolution can spread revolutionary instability into neighboring countries, such as the German states and Spain. This will cause some short-term revolutionary discontent, and it can be solved over time. Now, let's go take a look at the units. Now, before we head into the actual new units in the Egypt roster, I'd first like to take a look at the unit cards for the new factions, such as the Wallachia-Moldavia roster. This is the Wallachia-Moldavia roster with its unit cards, made by yours truly, of course. As you can see, we've got all of their nice units. Some recoloring still needs to be done. One theme you'll notice throughout a lot of this is we haven't finished recoloring. Recoloring has begun. So there will be more historically accurate uniforms, or at least nicer looking uniforms, than there are right now. And of course, we're going to move over to the Barbary States, who have also received their own unit cards. The Barbary States have a much more primitive roster, but they do have a bunch of unique units, such as the Corsairs and the Spanish Privateers, as well as the Italian Mercenary Pikemen. Now, let's head into the Egypt roster. As you can see from here, Egypt has one of the largest rosters in the game. Not on par as the same as the European rosters, but it does have a very large roster for the Middle Eastern factions. Let's hop in and take a look at the units. Now, before we get into this, I would like to again say, these are not the final form of the units. A lot of them will be recolored to have historically accurate uniforms, and the main reason I say this is I know we have a very dedicated Egyptian fan who has helped immensely with the creation of the Egyptian roster. He was Ibrahim Pasha in the Discord server. He is now Fegaline, but we still refer to him as Ibrahim Pasha. We'd like to thank you very much for your help throughout creation of the Egyptian roster, and we hope it's up to your standards, and more up to your standards when the recoloring's done. So, taking a look, of course we start with the Sekban. This is basically the basic level of infantry that the Egyptians and most Middle Eastern factions will have. Coming over here we have the Bedouin Swordsmen, fairly self-explanatory. Bedouins were prevalent through North Africa and Arabia, so here they are. Continuing on, we have the Bashi Bazouks. The Bashi Bazouks actually played a pivotal role in the foundation of the independent Egyptian state from the Ottoman Empire in the revolutions of Muhammad Ali. So of course we have to throw in the Bashi Bazouks. And over here we have our Mamluk Haras. These are basically just Mamluk Guard. They are also an infantry force, but let's get out of the swords and melee and let's head into the guns. So starting off with our first gun unit, we have the Felanine Militia. These guys are just going to be your very basic militia, and they're pretty weak, but they get the job done. Moving over here we have the African Gunners. These men are from Sudan and the deeper parts of Africa, but they've come to fight for the Egyptians. Moving over here, we have the Kata Infantry. This is, now I will say one thing. Egypt, like the Ottoman Empire and the Safavid Empire, will have a modernization event. So a lot of these units aren't going to progress in tiers. You'll see how they'll actually be in game when you play, but you won't have all of these units at once. They will unlock later on in the game. Anyway, moving on, we have the Egyptian Bayada. And then later on, we have the Mamluk Musketeers. Now, I believe, since I created the roster, this is the highest tier of infantry you get in the pre-reform roster. And then, once you get post-reform, you'll have a different form of infantry, which I'll show in a second. But this is the highest tier pre-reform, and later on we'll see post-reform. Now moving on, we have the Greek Bayonet Militia. These guys don't have their new models yet, but we do have a new model for these guys set up. Continuing on, now the Azops are a special unit. I think we've talked a little about the addition of light infantry into the mod, but the Azops are the first adaptation of them. So light infantry is something we're adding to the mod. It has high range but low damage. We hope it'll add a bit of flavor in how the combat's played. And so these guys are constantly in loose formation, and they can shoot very far, but they're very weak and they're very vulnerable to cavalry and infantry charges. So it's best to keep them running away and keep them harassing the enemy rather than taking a straight up fight. Now moving on, we have the Harass Riflemen. And continuing on, we have the Sharkagia, who also have not been retextured, but this is their model right now. And we have the Mamluk Janissaries. Now these guys are the highest tier of infantry for the, I believe they're the highest tier for the post-reform. I think we can check the stats there. Well, I'll do this. So 19... so actually, no, the highest tier infantry for the post-reform is the Harass Riflemen. But that doesn't matter. As you can see, we've got our nice units. And moving into the cavalry. So the first tier of cavalry is going to be Bedouin Light Cavalry, followed up by, of course, the Egyptian Staff Cav, which is just very standard unit, followed up again by Mamluk Cavalry, and then we have the Ketevil Guard Cavalry, which is another special unit pointed out to me. And then finally, we have our standard Camel Dragoons. Well, this concludes the Egypt roster. We hope it is to everyone's liking. Anyway, guys, that's it for this Lucium 3.0 update video. Remember to join our Discord server and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates on the mod. And remember, get excited. Not that much longer.